attractiveness. Although he was undeniably handsome, blessed with features that often turned heads, it was something far deeper, a more profound and intangible allure that effortlessly drew people into his orbit, particularly women who seemed especially susceptible to its potent influence. He exuded a captivating charm, a subtle yet pervasive aura of promise that seemed to whisper of untold wonders and exciting possibilities lurking just beyond the horizon. This was a natural charisma, not a learned behavior or cultivated skill, but rather an innate gift that he possessed, seemingly without consciously cultivating it. A sense of something extraordinary and unique that seemed exquisitely tailored to each individual who found themselves basking in the warmth of his undivided attention. His presence was like a warm embrace, a comforting reassurance that all things were possible. His appeal wasn't a carefully manufactured performance, a calculated act meticulously designed to deceive and manipulate. Instead, it flowed from him as naturally as breath, an unconscious emanation of energy, a vibrant life force that seemed to create an atmosphere of boundless possibility and palpable excitement wherever he went. He possessed a remarkable gift, a rare and precious knack for making individuals feel profoundly seen, deeply understood, and intrinsically valued, at least in the early stages of their acquaintance during their initial bloom of connection, before the carefully constructed facade inevitably began to crumble under the weight of his own artificiality. This initial perception of being cherished, of being truly understood and appreciated for who they were, was a potent lure, a powerful incentive that drew them further and further into his carefully constructed world, a world built on illusion and fleeting moments of manufactured connection, moments that felt so real, so genuine, but were ultimately destined to fade like a mirage in the desert. A true virtuoso of conversation, Dami was a master of language, a skilled wordsmith who wielded phrases with an almost surgical precision and an uncanny understanding of their emotional impact. He didn't simply engage in casual talk or superficial banter. He meticulously crafted narratives, carefully constructing phrases and sentences specifically designed to elicit very specific responses, to tug at precisely the right emotional strings, playing the elaborate game of courtship with a calculated skill that belied the feigned genuine emotion he so convincingly projected. He orchestrated emotions with deceptive grace, skillfully pulling at heartstrings with an almost uncanny ability, creating a symphony of affection built upon a shaky foundation of meticulously constructed artifice and calculated charm. A performance so convincing that even he sometimes seemed to believe in its reality. Every gesture, every carefully chosen compliment, every subtly suggestive remark was meticulously designed to deepen the illusion, to reinforce the carefully crafted fantasy, and to solidify his hold on the affections of his unsuspecting target, weaving a web of enchantment from which escape seemed impossible. However, lurking beneath this dazzling facade, hidden behind the captivating smile and the flawlessly chosen words, resided a deeply disturbing pattern, a relentlessly repeating cycle of emotional turmoil, devastating heartbreak, and ultimately profound disillusionment that left a lasting scar on all those involved. Each passionate relationship, initially brimming with the promise of enduring love, radiating optimism, and seemingly destined for lasting happiness and a shared future, inevitably crumbled into dust, collapsing under the immense weight of Dami's internal struggles, his unresolved conflicts, and his deep-seated insecurities that he desperately tried to keep hidden from the world. The endings followed a tragically predictable script, intense heartbreak for his partner, a sense of profound betrayal that cut deep, a lingering feeling of confusion and bewilderment, and Dami's sudden, almost theatrical disappearance, a carefully orchestrated vanishing act that left a haunting trail of unanswered questions, lingering pain, and shattered dreams strewn across his desolate wake, a testament to the destructive power of his carefully concealed inner turmoil. This wasn't a simple case of infidelity, a mere act of betrayal against the sacred vows of commitment and fidelity. It was a more profound and haunting tale of a man deeply eternally lost within a labyrinth of his own making, hopelessly trapped behind a formidable wall of self-deception so elaborately constructed that even he struggled to perceive the reality that lay beyond its impenetrable surface, the prison of his own design. He concealed a disturbing truth, a core aspect of his very being that he desperately and relentlessly tried to bury deep within the hidden recesses of his psyche, warping his natural charm, his inherent ability to genuinely connect with others into a destructive weapon, a tool of manipulation that left a trail of emotional wreckage and shattered lives strewn across his path, a devastating consequence of his internal struggle. He was, in essence, a prisoner of his own meticulously constructed reality, his beguiling charm, ironically the very thing that drew people so irresistibly to him, ultimately serving as a gilded cage, forever trapping him in a seemingly inescapable cycle of pretense, performance, and profound pain, a lonely existence masked by superficial connection. Tormented by an internal conflict, a constant and relentless battle raging within the very depths of his soul, Dami felt the crushing and unrelenting weight of societal expectations, the rigid and unforgiving boundaries of deeply ingrained religious teachings, and the undeniable, almost irresistible pull of his heart's deepest and most authentic desires, a conflict that tore at his very core. These powerful and often contradictory forces collided within him, creating a tempestuous storm of confusion, self-loathing, and a deep sense of internal fragmentation, a feeling of being torn apart by opposing forces, leaving him feeling fragmented and incomplete. He harbored a secret envy for the perceived freedom of the women around him, the seeming ease and grace with which they navigated the complexities of the world, expressed themselves openly and authentically, and fearlessly pursued their own happiness and fulfillment. Not necessarily in a romantic or lustful context, but rather as a stark and painful contrast to his own perceived constraints, his own deeply ingrained limitations, and the suffocating weight of his self-imposed restrictions, a constant reminder of what he felt he could never have, his own truth. The unvarnished reality of his inner self terrified him beyond measure, looming over him like a formidable prison of fear and paralyzing insecurity, constantly threatening to shatter the carefully constructed image and meticulously maintained persona that he so painstakingly presented to the outside world. The constant fear of exposure, the perpetual anxiety of being discovered and unmasked, was a burden that he carried with him every single day, a weight that threatened to crush him under its immense pressure. Desperate for solace and desperately seeking a brief reprieve from the relentless torment that relentlessly plagued him, he turned to prayer and periods of prolonged fasting, desperately clinging to the faint hope that traditional religious rituals could somehow cleanse him of his pervasive torment, purify his deeply conflicted soul, and ultimately deliver him from the overwhelming darkness that consumed him from within. A desperate attempt to find peace. He earnestly sought answers and guidance within the sacred texts of Scripture, fervently hoping to discover a clear path to redemption, a way to reconcile his deeply ingrained internal conflicts and find a semblance of peace within the storm raging inside him, searching for answers in the ancient words. Yet, despite his fervent prayers, his unwavering dedication to religious practices, and his sincere desire for inner peace, the crushing weight of shame and self-reproach remained, an ever-present and deeply painful reminder of the vast and seemingly unbridgeable gap between who he truly was at his core and who he desperately felt he should be. According to the rigid dictates of societal and religious expectations, a constant source of anguish. This chasm between his true self and his perceived ideal was a source of constant agony, a painful reminder of his perceived shortcomings. Ada, a woman who had already endured far too much emotional pain at the hands of others, a woman who had tragically witnessed firsthand the devastating consequences of his deeply ingrained self-deception and manipulative behavior, finally made the courageous decision to expose his carefully concealed actions and behaviors, shattering his meticulously maintained facade of piety and virtue, revealing the truth to the world. The digital landscape, once a carefully curated space of anonymity and carefully constructed images designed to project an image of perfection, became quickly saturated with his image, transforming him almost overnight into a highly visible target of mockery, condemnation, and widespread cancellation, a potent symbol of hypocrisy, deceit, and the painful consequences of living a life built on lies, a dramatic and public downfall. His online persona, carefully crafted over years with meticulous attention to detail, was instantly and irrevocably destroyed, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. That fateful night, the immense weight of his actions, the cumulative and devastating effect of years of relentless pretense and deeply ingrained self-deception, crashed down upon him with the overwhelming force of a tidal wave, threatening to drown him in a sea of despair, self-pity, and overwhelming regret, a moment of profound reckoning. He stood frozen before his reflection, a complete stranger staring back at him from the depths of the mirror, and screamed out in anguish, consumed by a potent and agonizing cocktail of rage, profound despair, and crippling self-loathing, a visceral expression of his inner turmoil. He finally recognized the profound emptiness behind his carefully crafted charm, the hollowness and inherent lack of substance of his meticulously constructed persona, the realization of his deception. He saw himself for what he truly was, a fraud, a charlatan who had built his life on a foundation of lies. In a desperate attempt to find solace, to grasp at any semblance of hope in the face of overwhelming despair, he sought refuge in the church, a traditional sanctuary of solace, forgiveness, and spiritual healing, arriving broken, vulnerable, and stripped bare of his carefully constructed defenses and carefully maintained pretenses, a desperate plea for help. A compassionate pastor, sensing the depth of Dami's genuine pain and recognizing the profound depth of his suffering, offered him compassion, understanding, and a judgment-free space rather than condemnation or harsh judgment, extending a hand in friendship. He saw not a monster, but a wounded soul in desperate need of healing, a human being struggling to find their way. Together they prayed, the pastor providing a safe and nurturing space, a judgment-free zone where Dami felt empowered to unravel his intricate and painful story, to finally confront his long-repressed demons, and to bravely begin the long and arduous process of healing and self-discovery, a journey of healing and transformation. For the first time in his life, Dami encountered authentic truth and genuine connection, a profound realization that true freedom wasn't to be found in pretense, in perpetually hiding behind a carefully constructed mask, but rather in surrender, in embracing vulnerability, and in radical acceptance of his true and authentic self. Flaws and all, a liberating revelation. He began to understand that true strength lay not in hiding his weaknesses, but in confronting them with honesty and courage, a path towards genuine healing. Today, Dami is far from perfect, and his healing journey is far from complete. But he is undeniably free from the shackles of his former self, a journey of ongoing growth. He no longer lives a life built on lies and deception, no longer invests his precious energy in deceiving others to maintain a false image, and no longer exploits women to cover his own wounds, to desperately validate his existence, or to escape from his deeply rooted internal struggles and unresolved conflicts, a testament to his progress. He is committed to healing, slowly but honestly, facing his demons head-on with courage and determination, and gradually learning to accept himself for who he truly is, with all his imperfections and vulnerabilities, embracing his authentic self. He understands that healing is a process, not a destination, a lifelong commitment to growth and self-awareness. Ultimately, the self-deceptions we engage in, the insidious lies we tell ourselves to protect our fragile egos and avoid confronting deeply uncomfortable truths, are often far more potent, far more insidious, and far more damaging than any external falsehoods or lies we might tell to others. A crucial insight. Dami's story serves as a beacon of hope, a cautionary tale, and a testament to the transformative power of self-awareness, illuminating the difficult but ultimately rewarding path towards true liberation and authentic living, a path that requires courage and commitment. Therefore, resist the constant urge to conceal your suffering behind a facade of perfection. Avoid inflicting pain on others in a desperate attempt to uphold a false image, and instead bravely embark on a transformative journey of healing, a path towards genuine self-discovery, radical self-acceptance, and unwavering authenticity, embracing vulnerability and honesty. Embrace honesty, both with yourself and with others, and you will experience the profound and enduring freedom that comes from living an authentic and self-aware life, a life filled with genuine connection and inner peace. Let go of the masks, the carefully constructed personas, and the ingrained pretenses, and embrace the truth, for true and lasting liberation resides in the courageous act of being your true, unadulterated, and authentic self, a journey worth undertaking. It is in embracing our imperfections that we truly find ourselves, achieving genuine self-acceptance and lasting happiness.